Welcome to Goodnight Audio. We wish you an enjoyable listening experience. When I was in kindergarten, I was abused by my teacher. After my parents learned about it, they did their utmost to seek justice for me. Yet, she used the most brutal method to murder them. More than 20 years later, I married her beloved daughter. I want to bestow upon her the most horrific revenge in this world. In the middle of the night, my wife ran to the police station. When I caught up to her, she had likely told the police almost everything. Teacher, she fled in panic behind the police officers, as if attacked by a wild beast. My wife wore a white silk slip dress, her long, voluminous hair disheveled, her fair, bare feet stained with blood from running in the night. Perhaps she didn't realize how much her current appearance evoked a man's protective instincts, so much so that the police officers, who had never met her, drew their guns and aimed them at me. "Do not move, hands up." I stopped abruptly, raising my hands. "Officer, my wife has a mental disorder." Damn Xiao Xiao immediately retorted, "I am not, my nerves are very normal. I am not a madman. Save me, please save me." Having said that, she suddenly knelt down, grabbing the pant leg of a police officer with both hands, crying and saying, "He is a pervert. He imprisoned me, manipulated me, hurt me. He wants to turn me into his dog." I am at my wit's end with her. "Wife, let's talk about it slowly when we get home. Doing this will hinder the police from working." I tried to soothe her emotions, moving towards her. "Good girl, go home with me." She shook her head, bobbing like a rattled drum, her hands clinging tightly to the police officer's shirt, looking up, pitifully saying, Don't let him take me away. He will kill me." Just as I was about to say something else, a police officer yelled at me, "Shut up. We will investigate the truth." I don't believe they will investigate anything. As Dam Xiao Xiao was being taken away, a police officer came to take my statement. Dam Xiao Xiao had reported me to the police, saying I had killed her father, driven her mother insane, and imprisoned her. He asked, "Do you have anything to say?" I sighed inwardly and said, "My name is Chu Van Sin, 28 years old, is a photographer, working for a wedding planning company. My wife and I met 4 years ago. At that time, she was taking wedding photos with her best friend. We exchanged a few words about photo ideas for the couple. Then we exchanged contact information. Originally, she was an artist. Her life was very rich, diverse, and she was also very beautiful, possessing a natural charm for me. After that, we arranged to go on a photo hunt for creative inspiration a few times and gradually developed feelings. About a year later, we registered our marriage. As I am an orphan and have no home, my wife's parents allowed me to live with them. Speaking of this, my eyes filled with gratitude. I am truly very thankful to them. Because I met them, I have a complete family again and once again felt the warmth of a family. During that time, we were very happy. But tragedy struck too suddenly. Once, I took my in-laws mountain climbing. My father-in-law slipped and fell from the mountain and passed away. My mother-in-law was overcome with grief, and Xiao Xiao was also living a life worse than death. I wiped my eyes, my voice involuntarily hoarse, thinking that time would heal everything. Sooner or later, they would forget the pain. Unexpectedly, not long after, my mother-in-law began to suffer from mental disorder. She seemed to suffer from persecution complex, constantly claiming that people wanted to kill her, to get revenge on her. Xiao Xiao had to be stronger. Together, we took her mother to see doctors and receive treatment. But unfortunately, none of it yielded any results. Fortunately, we remained optimistic. We believed that if the whole family united, we could certainly overcome these difficulties. However, speaking of this, I was almost in tears. The police officer asked, "And then what?" Heaven does not wait for human will. One day, Xiao Xiao took her mother to the hospital for a checkup. Perhaps she was too tired and closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her mother was gone. She searched everywhere but could not find her. Xiao Xiao was extremely distraught by this, coupled with the fact that she had not fully overcome the grief of losing her father. She had to bear the heavy responsibility of caring for her severely ill mother. In the end, she could not cope any longer and also began to become panicked and erratic. I looked at the police officer with a sense of helplessness and sorrow. She kept saying that she was a dog. She said that sleeping in a doghouse was safer than sleeping in a room. The police officer looked at me with a mixture of belief and doubt. I added, "I know you are suspicious, but everything I have said can be investigated." I feigned reluctance. In reality, many people advised me to admit her to a psychiatric hospital, but I refused. I did not want her to live with truly insane people. I always believed that one day she would suddenly recover. The police officer looked at me with some confusion. I knew they were intensifying their suspicions. "If you do not believe me, you can go to the police station in our old neighborhood to check the records." This is not the first time she has reported to the police. It was precisely because I was worried that her condition would continuously disturb the local police that I moved her to our new home now. I am not afraid of your investigation. On the contrary, I am afraid you will not investigate, I said with anguish. If you do not investigate clearly, you will not let me take her home. She ran out wearing only a nightgown, barefoot, and I am very worried about her health. She is very afraid of dark, confined spaces. I fear she will not be able to endure it if left for too long. I implore you, can you please hurry a little? I know we have caused you trouble, but I still want to ask you, can you please hurry a little? I can pay the fee. I will not let you work for nothing. The police officer yelled at me. What nonsense are you talking about? I sighed. Whatever you want to know, whatever you want to investigate, I will do my best to cooperate. I only hope to bring my wife home soon. Anyone who heard these words would be bewildered. If you say there is a problem, then I am not afraid of being investigated. But if you say there is no problem, then my decisive attitude is hard to reassure others. The police officers that Dame Xiao Xiao encountered were all quite responsible. They all seriously investigated based on the suspicious points she mentioned. That is to say, the real cannot become false, and the false cannot become real. Dame Xiao Xiao indeed has psychological problems. Her words are not credible at all. Within days, the police will have to hand her over to me, as I am her sole legal guardian. Whoever dares to detain her will be responsible for the rest of her life. No, don't. Similar incidents have occurred numerous times, yet Dame Xiao Xiao has always resigned herself to the cycle of overwhelming hope, followed by utter despair. In this regard, she is indeed a cockroach that cannot be killed, incredibly resilient. Please, don't let him take me away. She pleaded tearfully once more. A female police officer comforted her. We have investigated. Your husband is a very good man. He will not harm you. He is acting. He is a fraud. Help me. Help me. I approached her, saying, Xiao Xiao, be good. Let's go home. Don't cause any more trouble for the police officers. Dame Xiao Xiao retreated fearfully into the corner, her face filled with utter panic and horror. No, don't come here. Her appearance would stir anyone's compassion. The male officers were undoubtedly moved. One person curiously asked, has something unpleasant happened between you two? She is truly terrified of you. I said sadly, given her condition, it's impossible to hire a nanny. But I occasionally need to go out, so I can only lock the door and leave her at home. Perhaps it is because of this. I went over and tried to coax Dame Xiao Xiao, promising her, I promise I will never lock you up again. I will never leave you alone at home again. Deceitful, Dame Xiao Xiao was truly flustered, her hands frantically clutching her hair, her features appearing ferocious, her voice hoarse, increasingly resembling that of a madwoman. The closer I got, the more she retreated. But those police officers were no longer protecting her. They only wished for me to take this madwoman away quickly, so as not to disrupt their normal duties. She had no choice but to crawl under the table, meaning I quickly wiped my eyes and grabbed her ankle. In that moment, I felt her entire body trembling. I looked down under the table and called out, wife, don't be afraid. But the more I did so, the more frightened she became. She was like a highly agitated cat, rushing straight at me regardless of everything. Get out, get out. Perhaps due to her violent actions, the heavy desk was almost overturned by her, and I was also pushed to the ground. She herself might have been injured. I don't know where the blood came from. Immediately, Her eyes refocused. She raised her hand and pointed at me. I have proof. Ha ha ha, I have proof. Uncle Van Sin, you cannot escape. I have proof. Damn Xiao Xiao has truly gone mad. She kept muttering repeatedly. I have proof. I truly don't know what proof she has. Perhaps it was because her acting was too convincing. The police, hearing this, immediately restrained me again. Sir, please remain here for a little longer. I was taken back to the interrogation room, but this time no one questioned me. They simply let me sit alone. I knew very well that although it seemed I was alone here, someone was undoubtedly observing me covertly. They hoped that when I was alone, I would relax and reveal a flaw. But they didn't know I had long grown accustomed to the feeling of being locked alone in a small, dark, cramped room. I have, time and time again, become accustomed to the darkness and have also conquered the darkness. The police returned to interrogate me, their attitude much more serious. We sent your wife's blood sample to the hospital for testing and discovered ephedrine in her body. That police officer practically threw the test report in my face. He shouted, "Do you know what ephedrine is?" I naturally knew. It is a prohibited substance that can cause the body to enter a state of euphoria, allowing people to achieve pleasure. But that pleasure comes at a price. It is addictive. But addiction is the most tormenting thing for a person. I feigned extreme shock, shook my head. I don't know. The police would believe a normal person who became insane due to extreme trauma, but they would absolutely not believe that a lunatic would voluntarily use illicit substances. Suppose someone, among normal people, used drugs, causing her to become abnormal. Doesn't this logic seem very sound? In the interrogation room, I rested my head on my hand, appearing genuinely confused and speechless. Officer, if ephedrine is a drug, where did it come from? Instead of suspecting me here, why don't you investigate the origin of that substance? The officer asked indignantly. Are you teaching us how to solve cases? I lowered my voice. I am only worried about my wife's health. No wonder she occasionally seemed particularly euphoric. I felt heartbroken and extremely guilty. I thought I had taken very good care of her. When we got married, I promised her that I would definitely take care of her and love her for all eternity. But I failed. I not only let her fall ill, I also let her. I was on the verge of tears. Why is fate treating us this way? Is it because I lost my parents at a young age, which was not tragic enough? Or is it because she lost her father and then her mother, which was not painful enough? The police stopped indulging my act and presented me with a property statement. They coldly stated that Dam Xiao Xiao's father was a Fuer Dai, a second-generation rich heir. He inherited a considerable fortune from his parents, and with his own 20-odd years of business acumen, amassed a colossal amount of wealth. And Lam Feng He, Dam Xiaoxiao's mother, was also from a wealthy background and an only child. Upon marriage, she already possessed properties and trusts gifted by her maternal family. After her parents passed away, she inherited their entire estate. Although after becoming a mother, she dedicated herself entirely to raising her daughter. Living as a wealthy housewife, her assets continued to grow. The more I listened, the more astonished I became. You suspect me of plotting against their entire family for money, don't you? Of course, I can accept this kind of speculation from others. I knew the Dam family was very well off, but I never knew the specific extent of their wealth. Even when my father-in-law passed away and my mother-in-law and Xiao Xiao inherited the estate, I stayed out of it to avoid suspicion. A man with no parents, no assets, and no career, marrying the only daughter of a wealthy family, yet he avoids her family's assets. 1.5 years of marriage, the father-in-law dies. The mother-in-law disappears, the wife goes mad. Are you telling me this is all a coincidence? The barrage of questions was overwhelming, leaving me no time to react. I calculated for a moment before replying. I avoided it, because I didn't want others to think I married my wife out of greed for the Dam family's wealth. I also possess the self-respect of a man. Because of that self-respect, before marriage, I signed a prenuptial agreement with Xiao Xiao, stating that her family's assets had nothing to do with me. Furthermore, I also pledged that should we divorce in the future, regardless of fault, I would leave with nothing. The police officer stood up agitatedly and shouted, "So, you decided to destroy their family. As long as they all died, you could legitimately inherit the entire family fortune." His triumphant tone as he found my loofah evoked a trace of pity in me. I pursed my lips. Was that necessary? If I wanted their family assets, I only needed to have a child with Dam Xiao Xiao. In that case, wouldn't all the future assets of the Dam family still be mine? The police officer said indignantly, "Then how many more years would you have to wait?" I retorted without politeness. Waiting for however many years would still be easier than murder and poisoning. I thought they would give up, but unexpectedly, they said, "So, you had other motives?" "Huh, I'm really getting annoyed now. Why didn't you think of this sooner? Where's the evidence?" I spread my hands and asked provocatively, "Do you have any evidence?" By law, they could only detain me for a maximum of 48 hours, but to gain more time for investigation, they repeatedly found excuses to prolong it. I didn't care. I wasn't afraid of their investigation. That is to say, after 96 hours, they still hadn't obtained anything. I began to lose patience and continued to provoke them. "Officers, whatever you want to know, just ask me directly. I will tell you whatever I know without concealment and cooperate fully with the investigation. I just want to see my wife quickly. If she doesn't see me for too long, she will lose control." The policeman snapped, "She's fine without you." He tried to probe, "So, people like you, who think they're so smart, do you all enjoy playing the good cop, bad cop game? Is it fulfilling to turn a woman who loves animals into a slave under your trousers into a dog? Does it satisfy you to see a girl as beautiful as a flower, living or dying for you? Yes, that's what a beast lover would do. But her life for over 20 years was spent under the protection of her parents, a delicate flower raised in a greenhouse. She's half grown, but cannot withstand the wind and rain. A slight squeeze would be enough to shatter her. Her aesthetic sense, her paintings, her knowledge once filled me with admiration. Every photo I took of her was breathtakingly beautiful, displayed in the gallery, always making viewers pause to admire. Seeing my silence, he grew impatient and deliberately provoked me. "So, you've failed. As long as we can prove that Dam Xiao Xiao is not mentally ill, her testimony can be used as evidence. You gave her drugs, plotting to control her with them. Trafficking or forcing someone to use drugs are both serious crimes. I am good at getting to the point," I said. "I did not. I do not traffic drugs, nor do I force others to use them. However, at this very moment, someone walked in with a report." The policeman glanced at it, his pupils dilated involuntarily, his face full of astonishment. He looked at me, then at the report, and asked in disbelief, "You were exposed to ephedrine at the age of 5. "Yes, 5 years old. I was still a preschooler back then. But I was already torn to shreds back then. These results certainly won't come from a blood test. They must have investigated my entire past. Of course, investigating these things isn't difficult. I had already prepared everything for them. The painful memories I had sealed deep within my heart finally resurfaced. I ate it by mistake," I explained. "Mistakenly ate it. The police officer didn't believe me, thinking I mistook it for candy and ate it by accident. I explained again, it's true. The food at the kindergarten was problematic, and I vaguely ate it." As I said that, I found it amusing. Do you really think a 5-year-old child would intentionally take ephedrine? There was a moment of silence in the interrogation room. The officer seemed hesitant to ask, but finally, he did. "How did your parents die?" I clenched my fists and glared at him indignantly. "The documents don't mention a gas explosion at your home." "It's not that I'm questioning it," I retorted resentfully. "It's not that I'm questioning it. I just find it strange. You were so young when you accidentally ingested ephedrine, yet this incident wasn't widely publicized. Even the media coverage was minimal. We also found no information about your parents demanding justice from the kindergarten on your behalf. Then, not long after, both of them died in a gas explosion. Just like that, you, a child not yet 6 years old, became an orphan. She tried her best to suppress it, but they wouldn't let me go. A child accidentally ingesting ephedrine. This was clearly a grave matter, but the doctor only provided a test report, The police only filed a record. There were no subsequent developments, no conclusions, and no one was punished by law. On the contrary, the victim. I really couldn't hold back anymore and roared, "Must you rub salt into my wounds?" What do those past events have to do with today's situation? I was furious, not even caring about the rules of the interrogation room anymore. I wanted to stand up, to resist, though I didn't know who I was resisting. I pointed at the person opposite me and shouted, "That man. Why didn't I see you so diligent and dedicated then?" Meaning, those handcuffs fundamentally prevented my frame, over 1.8 meters tall, from standing upright. As soon as they determined I was exhibiting excessive behavior, 2 officers pinned my shoulders, forcing me back into my seat. The other man yelled at me, "Sit still, or I'll charge you with resisting an officer." After struggling for a long time, I finally calmed down. I leaned back warily against the interrogation chair, resigned to my fate, feigning indifference. Over 20 years ago, the media was not as developed as it is now. It's understandable that you couldn't find out. Moreover, back then, my parents did not report it to the police. The hospital did. No one could prove that I mistakenly ingested F-hydrine at kindergarten. The police at the time turned my entire home and the kindergarten upside down, but found nothing. Therefore, they speculated that I might have consumed something given to me by a stranger. They even felt fortunate, glad that it was discovered early. But I have said time and again, it was not a stranger, yet they did not believe me, saying children often lie. Feeling wronged and helpless, I deliberately changed the subject and said in a tone bordering on desperation, "Investigate why that substance was found in my wife, will you? Go trace its origin, will you? And you may suspect me, but if I make no progress here, then investigate in another direction, all right? Suppose, as my wife claims, I killed her father, then approached her mother. What reason would I have to poison her with this? There isn't even a scratch on her body. If I intended to harm her, why would I leave this kind of evidence? This doesn't fit the image of a high IQ murderer in your eyes, does it?" The people sitting opposite exchanged glances. One of them asked coldly, "Are you teaching us how to do our job?" "Investigate what? How to investigate? We have our own standards," he said sternly to me, "and you, cooperating with the police is your duty. I advise you to be more honest, otherwise it will only worsen your crime." Surely at this point, I have nothing left to fear regarding guilt or innocence. Very quickly, the case took a turn. Over 20 years may seem long, with many past events buried by time, but in reality, it is also very short. Some things once done certainly leave a trace. They investigated Dam Xiao Xiao's mother, who is also my mother-in-law, Lam Feng He. She was my kindergarten teacher. And after I accidentally ingested the drug F-hydrine, she left the kindergarten. Police, sometimes, are like bloodhounds, especially good at finding clues. They followed every detail and discovered Lam Feng. He had a certain connection to the F-hydrine drug case. But what exactly this connection was, they had not yet clearly investigated. But that didn't matter. As long as it was confirmed that Lam Feng, he was my kindergarten teacher, I had a new motive for the crime: revenge. They told me there was once a boy who was abused by his teacher in kindergarten, but due to lack of evidence, his family could not seek truth and justice. Instead, both his parents died in an accident, leaving him an orphan. This sowed the seeds of hatred in his young soul. Many years later, the boy grew up and coincidentally met the daughter of that teacher. Thus, a complete revenge plan was born. He tried every means to make the teacher's daughter fall in love with him, successfully marry her, and then gradually infiltrate her family. He wanted to kill them step by step, to seek justice for himself, to make them pay for his parents. Regarding this, I appeared extremely calm. That year, the results the police gave my parents were simply one sentence. It had been investigated and confirmed that the food at the kindergarten had no issues. The police did not even hold the kindergarten liable, let alone blame Ms. Lam. On what grounds do you judge that I married Dam Xiao Xiao for revenge? The police are too. So, you mean fate arranged so many coincidences for you? Whether it's a coincidence or not, that's for you police officers to investigate. As for me, Besides cooperating with your investigation, I can do nothing else. I adjusted my breathing. Looking at their speechless demeanor, I seemed to have regained the initiative. Now, I want to leave here. I want to visit my wife. Do you have any other reason to keep me here? No. As soon as I find a lawyer, he will get me out of here, legally. They cannot even stop me from visiting my wife. In the hospital, Dam Xiao Xiao was sedated because she had just had an episode, causing chaos throughout the hospital. The police did not stop me from seeing her. However, during our meeting, police officers were present, supervising the entire process. Because she is currently the central figure in the F-Hadreen case, regardless of her status, she must be under police surveillance. I looked at the police and asked if I could stay to take care of her. Impossible, the person replied coldly. Any further questions I had, they would simply say it could not be disclosed. I know they are investigating the origin of that stimulant, but whether it was the new house or the old one, no traces were found. This thing is definitely not ours. Now, their only hope is to find the missing Lam Feng He. As long as they find her, all their doubts can be resolved. Everyone thought it would be very difficult to find her, but unexpectedly, just at this moment, Lam Feng He surrendered herself. The simple words Lam Feng He surrendered herself contained immense information. Firstly, her illness must have been completely cured, otherwise, she could not have surrendered herself. Secondly, she must have committed a crime to be able to surrender. Finally, the reason for her surrender must be earth shattering. The case of Dam Xiao Xiao was put on hold, and the 20-year-old case of the F-Hadreen incident at the kindergarten was reopened. As the victim, I went to the police station again. An older police officer who looked familiar asked me if I remembered him. I apologized and shook my head. He explained that he was the one who took my statement back then. At that time, you were about this tall, hiding behind your mother, peeking at me cautiously. I told you not to be afraid. He gestured with his hand to indicate my height back then, trying to speak to me in the most gentle and friendly manner. Although many years have passed since those events, I still remember the scene from that day as if it were yesterday. My mother was crying, and I held onto her leg tightly, hiding behind her. The police officer kindly waved at me, telling me not to be afraid and to come to him. He asked me many questions, but I could only remain silent and shake my head. He sighed repeatedly and asked my mother, "Have you spoken to him privately?" My mother continued to cry, shaking her head and saying indignantly, "He won't speak. He dares not speak anymore. He dares not speak anymore. The child is too young, and there are no visible marks on him, making it difficult to determine if it is related to the kindergarten teacher." He said kindly, "We will continue to investigate. If you have any clues, please report them to the police immediately. For now, please take him for treatment first. Later, the police ruled it as accidental ingestion." Everything stopped there. Even later, my parents passed away, and this matter was no longer mentioned by anyone. Lam Feng He has admitted to her abuse of the child back then. Besides the drug F-Hadreen, she also made the child take sleeping pills, swallow them in a dark room, and drink toilet water. Every time he said one more thing, I felt as if I had to relive the pain I endured that year once more. He probably noticed my expression change. His voice grew softer and softer. His speaking speed slowed down and finally stopped altogether. I thought I was strong enough to face any suffering, but at this moment, my heart felt terrifyingly empty. It was as if the world had turned into ruins, without light, warmth, or sound. Not even a trace of life, leaving only me tightly embraced by darkness, cold, and terror. I clenched my fists unconsciously, wishing I could break my thumbs within my palms. He paused for a moment, then continued, "Furthermore, she posted a video online of her locking the children in the bathroom, simultaneously issuing a public apology, expressing acceptance of public condemnation and legal punishment. Besides Chu Van Sin, there were many other children. It took so much effort to conceal the truth back then, and now they can release evidence themselves. Issuing a public apology and proactively surrendering is indeed making things difficult for her." I felt no sense of triumph in avenging myself. Instead, I felt utter contempt. Do you know why she did it? The police officer probed. I naturally know, but I will not say. The police officer asked and answered himself. She did it to save her daughter. She said that you're approaching Dam Xiao Xiao, falling in love with her, and marrying her was for revenge. Therefore, you killed Dam Xiao Xiao's father when he was about to uncover the truth, when he was close to uncovering the truth. I slowly raised my head and looked directly at the police officer. At this moment, he appeared noble and great, as if his entire body was radiating the light of justice. He said, "More than 20 years ago, the world owed you justice, and we will certainly repay it. But now, you owe others justice, and we must bring it to light with justice. Surely, without my 20 years of painstaking arrangements, would anyone have thought of returning justice to me? Now, asking me to return justice to my enemies, I'm afraid it won't be that easy." I smiled and said, "She was lying. I did want revenge, but I did not deceive Xiao Xiao, nor did I kill anyone. I guess I don't want to kill people. Please give me a chance. I did not threaten anyone, not at all." Regarding my father-in-law's death, the police investigated it thoroughly many times. Was it a fall from a steep cliff, or was he pushed off? This point is very difficult to determine. In any case, according to the investigation results, there were no signs of murder. That day, we had planned for the whole family to go hiking together. But when we reached the foot of the mountain, Dam Xiao Xiao suddenly received a call from her friend, saying she had argued with her husband, was in a bad mood, and wanted Xiao Xiao to be with her. Xiao Xiao looked at us with difficulty. Fang Fang cried a lot. She is so sentimental, I was truly worried. My father-in-law attached great importance to this family outing, so he could not avoid being a little disappointed. Dam Xiao Xiao then said to me, "Van Sin, why don't you take your parents to climb first? I'll go to the car for a moment. If he's all right, I'll be right back." And so she drove away. Because of this, she blamed herself greatly, feeling that if she had still been with everyone at that time, Dam's father would not have fallen down the mountain. And if there had been a car there, getting him to the hospital afterwards would not have been so troublesome. "Lam Feng," he said, when Mr. Dam fell down the mountain. She had not yet reached the summit. At that time, only you and Mr. Dam were there. "It is true that there were only the two of us," I said calmly. But precisely because she had not yet reached the summit, I turned back to help her. But before I could reach her, I heard my father-in-law's scream. This is clearly slander, assuming I pushed my father-in-law down the mountain. Suppose at that time she had already judged that I pushed my father-in-law down the mountain. Then why didn't she say so that day, but instead feigned madness afterwards? Lam Feng, he told the police. The reason she did not speak at the time was because she had no concrete evidence. She feigned mental illness simply to make me reveal a flaw, meaning I was too cautious, and she had no other choice but to use the method of running away from home to hide first, hoping to secretly monitor me. And it was precisely because I discovered she was monitoring me that I moved Dam Xiao Xiao to a new residence. I told the police her logic has serious flaws. If she thought pretending to be crazy could make me lower my guard, then she should have continued to stay by my side to find new evidence. By leaving, she could no longer legitimately live with me. Without living together, how could she find evidence? Her surrendering now is to tell the police that I have a motive for the crime and to get Dam Xiao Xiao out of my clutches. But when she left, did she ever consider Dam Xiao Xiao's safety? The police officer interrogating me stared at me for a long time without speaking. Then his stern expression suddenly relaxed, and he said with a smile, "It seems you have everything figured out. You are the ones overcomplicating things." I replied with a smile, "I never said that Ms. Lam abused me, nor did I ever say that the incident with the ephedrine was related to her. If I wanted revenge, I could have simply contacted other victims, found evidence of abuse. Wouldn't that have been faster and more effective? Why go to all this trouble?" I paused and continued, "Moreover, the moment I married Dam Xiao Xiao was the peak of my revenge, wasn't it? The subsequent events were enough to put me in jail. Was it necessary? When a couple entrusts the daughter they hold dear to a man they consider an enemy, what would their state of mind be? It's equivalent to holding an undisposable time bomb in your arms. You know it will explode sooner or later, but you cannot accurately predict when it will detonate and what consequences it will bring after the explosion. Then came sleepless nights and loss of appetite. That day, Lam Feng he knelt at my feet, begging me not to harm her daughter. At that moment, I stood before her, looking down from above, as if observing the fate of a lower-class creature, whose life and death rested solely on my whim. The fear and pleading in her eyes truly brought me a sense of exhilarating satisfaction. At that moment, I finally understood why years ago, when I was a child, kneeling at her feet, pitifully wringing my hands, begging her not to do it, she could smile so mockingly. As she bent over, reaching out to pat my head, I felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on me, like a colossal black mist descending from above my head, leaving me with no retreat and no escape. In response that day, I also smiled and helped her up and frankly told her, I truly like Xiao Xiao and genuinely wish to become family with you. Please believe me. A grand wedding ceremony, with guests filling the house, was extremely lively, led by the MC. Cheers and blessings were continuous. Regrettably, the smiles on their faces were forced. On my first night at their house, I felt that even the atmosphere in the house was filled with apprehension, as if they wished they could draw knives at us at the slightest stir. But I disappointed them. I treated Dame Xiao Xiao very well. If she asked for the stars, I would not hesitate to pluck the moon. When she discussed art, I understood art. When she spoke of dreams, I supported her dreams. If she was happy, I would be happy with her. If she was unhappy, I would comfort her until she was happy. She said I was a love letter sent to her by fate. She also said, meeting you is the greatest fortune of my life. Perhaps because we were too affectionate, their vigilance towards me gradually subsided. But just as they thought they were safe, Dame Xiao Xiao and I had a small marital dispute. Therefore, their just relaxed hearts had to be suspended again. And when they were determined to fight me to the death, Dame Xiao Xiao and I became as close as glue again. They discovered that their worries and fears were just a misunderstanding. Thus, their suspended hearts were put down again. Worry, vigilance, action, suspicion, letting go, relaxing, then worrying again. Thus repeating endlessly, no matter how strong the inner self, it would collapse. Until Mr. Dam died unexpectedly, all balance was broken. Lam Feng he held my hand, leaning on me, speaking slowly, Demon, you are a demon. But so what? Who planted the seed of a demon in my heart? Healingi wishes you a good day. The child abuse case that year, although it had no conclusion. However, this does not mean that the parents did not collude with the kindergarten back then. Now that the video has been released, the parents who once defended their children, the children of that year have grown up, and the grievances buried by time have finally been opened like Pandora's box. Now they all have the courage to stand in the police station, accept the police interrogation, and bravely tell the truth. I deeply resent them, because to this day I cannot forget the pain of being pricked by steel needles in my tongue. She said, "Don't talk nonsense, or your tongue will be full of steel nails." Her piercing eyes stared at me, pointing into the distance and saying, "You can't escape my sight. It has a kind of magic. It can see very, very far places, no matter when, no matter where you are, I can see you." This is why, after the incident, none of the children dared to speak the truth. We, children under 6 years old, basically did not have the courage to escape such threats. But now that it's said, it doesn't mean much anymore. The evidence of the crime has all been lost, even if Lam Feng he were to confess herself. Without evidence, she could not be convicted. Therefore, she dared to brazenly confess her guilt like this. The video clip alone that she released, at most, would only lead to moral condemnation, an apology, monetary compensation. Finding a slightly better lawyer, she might not even go to jail. Her fiancé, who is also the major boss behind the kindergarten, Dam Ming, gave each family 100,000 yuan as hush money, and my family received a special sum of 1 million yuan. Fangling Yuan Kindergarten is a very high and private institution. Families who can send their children here may not have power, but they certainly do not lack money. This small amount of money, no one would bother to quibble over, and those who received this money were merely accepting a token consolation. In short, their children were not found to have hydrine poison in their bodies after skin tests. In short, their children did not accuse the teachers of abuse, but my family was very unusual. I don't clearly recall the exact circumstances of my family at that time. In short, this 1 million was sorely lacking. Lam Feng, he believed that after so many years, no one could possibly produce any evidence. However, she did not know that I had made thorough preparations for today's revenge. I have submitted the evidence my mother kept for over 20 years to the police. It was a video recording of the kindergarten sending people to my home for mediation that year. My parents had meticulously requested that Lam Feng, he personally be present. Although their conversation at the time was very cautious, the fact that they offered hush money is undeniable. My father's and mother's opinions differed. My father decided to accept the money to settle the matter, but my mother disagreed. In the video, they almost got into an argument. Requiring the lawyer from Lam Feng his side to intervene. Finally, my parents reached a consensus accepting the money to settle the matter was acceptable, but they insisted on a direct bank transfer rather than cash. This is undoubtedly the evidence. Lam Feng, he hesitated, not agreeing immediately. After that, there was no after that, because my parents passed away. When the police watched this video, their eyes looking at me were indescribable. A police officer said, "Well done, young man. You were not yet 6 years old then. How have you managed to preserve this for so many years? The Lam family, were untouchable then, but now it is different. With this, I can see everything clearly." I smiled calmly and said, "As you sow, so shall you reap. It is not that retribution does not come, only that the time has not yet arrived." The police officer, appearing to understand everything, asked, "So, this is a cheap revenge spree and a journey. Therefore, you committed murder, you have stepped into Dam Xiao's shoes." I shook my head, saying, "Nothing. These are two different cases. In the Lam Feng child abuse case, I am the key. In the murder case I am suspected of, Dam Xiao is the key." The police earnestly hoped Dam Xiao would stabilize her emotions, hoping to obtain crucial information from her. Heaven favors the determined. Under their efforts, Dam Xiao regained her composure, but she was frightened and requested her guardian, who is me, to be present. Dam Xiao's illness is not a constant state of delirium. She occasionally regains lucidity. During those times, she was no different from a normal person. She had likely heard about Lam Feng as she was crying and cowering before I arrived. Seeing me, she clung to me as if I were a life-saving rope and tearfully cried out, "Husband, have I fallen ill again? Have I caused you more trouble?" The police officers were bewildered by her questions, as this was not the woman who had been incessantly weeping and screaming for help earlier. I comforted her, saying, "It's all right." She looked at me pleadingly, asking me to sit beside her, then told the police, "I don't take drugs. I only have asthma and use this to alleviate my symptoms. I have a doctor's prescription for the medication. It's just that sometimes, when I feel extremely down, I hoard the medicine and take it all at once, which leads to such episodes." The police looked at her with skepticism. She tearfully recounted, "I know my mental state is not normal." Then I said, "No one believes me, and it holds no legal weight, but you can investigate. Everything I say is the truth. My husband is an extremely good man. He treats me exceptionally well. He could not have killed my father, nor could he have imprisoned me. It's just that because of my illness, he had no other choice but to confine me at home. Do you know about the affair between him and your parents?" The police probed. She nodded. "My parents told me everything, but he is not like that. If he wanted revenge, he would not have loved me, nor married me. He has forgotten all about the past for my sake. He said my mother ruined his family, but I have given him a better home than before. What happened to my father was an accident, merely an accident. My mother, she was perhaps genuinely shocked and never thought of revenge." The police reminded her, "He kept evidence for over 20 years. How could she say he didn't think of revenge?" Miss Dam, think carefully. Were all the events between you and him truly a normal man-woman relationship? Don't be afraid. The police will protect you. The person glanced at me and asked her, did he threaten you? Miss Dam shook her head vigorously. No, he really didn't. You can ask my mother how Van Sin handled my father's funeral when he passed away. How Van Sin took care of her when she feigned illness, and me as well. No man could be as patient and gentle as him, caring for a sick person day after day. Please do not judge him as a bad person. After all, my parents wronged him. Damn, Xiao Xiao looked at me with teary eyes. Fate was too cruel to him, making him fall in love with the daughter of his enemy, making him unable to love or hate, leaving him no peace day after day. But our love can overcome everything. He did not want revenge. He confessed everything to me before we got married. He did not deceive me, nor hurt me, only boundless love. The police were about to say something more. Damn, Xiao Xiao, on the verge of collapse, burst into tears. That's enough. My father is dead, and my mother is about to go to prison. Van Sin is the only family I have left. If you have any doubts, please investigate. But please, do not separate us anymore, can you? Damn, Xiao Xiao asked sternly, can we leave now? In short, whatever you want to investigate, we will fully cooperate. A police officer took a sharp breath and said, you used illicit substances. It won't be easy for you to leave. I have a mental illness. What can you do to me? In short, you follow the law and I abide by the law. Let's proceed as it should be. Right now, I just want to go home. Immediately, the eyes of all the police officers turned to me, and I felt a slight sense of victory. However, I maintained a professional demeanor and humbly asked, do you need our lawyer to come and work with you? Very quickly, Lam Fenghe's child abuse case was brought to trial. She originally thought she would be released soon, but unexpectedly, the situation was so serious that it had to go to court. Witnesses appeared one after another. The kittens of yesteryear have now grown into formidable tigers, no longer afraid of steel needles or those gazes. One person can lie, but what about a whole group? Could such meticulous and traceless abuse have been merely a momentary impulse? If Lam Fenghe could still refute the false testimony of these people, then when the witnesses and evidence of their past bribery appeared in court, she would know that she could no longer be easily deceived, because she knew clearly that the only person who could make witnesses come forward and speak was her beloved daughter. At this moment, she probably realized that my revenge plan was never a solo act, but always had companions through the storm. And her daughter was the most crucial link in this cycle of vengeance. She will know that her daughter was not abused at all, and that repeatedly running to the police station for help was merely to force her to proactively confess her past crimes. In fact, I played this move very cautiously. Firstly, I never believed she would give up her life for damn Xiao Xiao, nor did I believe such a wicked person possessed maternal love. But when I saw her empty eyes in court, the eyes of someone who had suffered extreme pain, I truly realized that this move was correct. Losing freedom is nothing. It must be a heart-wrenching blow. The person she cherishes most, cares about most, must personally stab her heart to satisfy my anger. Impossible! Impossible! As she was being led away, she screamed in disbelief. She yelled at me, where is damn Xiao Xiao? I want to see her. Tell her to come see me. I will never see my parents again. How dare she demand to see damn Xiao Xiao? She won't see her never. The verdict for Lam Fenghe was quickly delivered. A combined sentence for multiple crimes, 7 years imprisonment. This is still not enough to appease my anger. To ruin a person's childhood is to ruin their entire life. To destroy a child is to destroy a family. Yet the law can only restrict her freedom for 7 years, a period shorter than the half hour we were locked in that dark room that year. At night I have little interest. Damn Xiao Xiao nestles in my arms, timidly asking, aren't you happy? I ignore her. She playfully loops her arm around mine. For you, I don't even need my parents anymore. Why are you still unhappy? What must I do for you to be happy? I want to make you happy. If you're happy, I'm happy. You are the most beautiful picture in my heart. If you're not happy, I feel the whole world is empty and meaningless. I meticulously gaze at her, recalling our first meeting, her innocent and lively demeanor. Her eyes as clear as the morning sun, her mischievous and adorable expression. She is a flower that grew in a greenhouse, never having experienced storms, nor the scent of worldly smoke and fire. In her eyes, expensive jewelry is far less precious than a roasted sweet potato from the roadside. I told her, "Your clothes are far less beautiful, alluring, and attractive than when you are naked, with a dog collar around your neck." She shyly lowers her head, but her eyes are filled with the most primal human desires. At first, she couldn't accept it, but I told her being human is not as blissful as being an animal. Animals have no sense of shame, so they can do as they please. Artists can never be confined by this mundane, insipid world. We must transcend, be unrestrained, cast aside all human attributes, and return to our most primal animal nature to achieve true ecstasy. She believed me. Moreover, she believed me absolutely. Whatever I said, she would believe. In my heart, she was no longer human long ago. She was merely a dog that obeyed orders. Whatever I told her to do, she would do. Loyal and obedient. Every so often, I would visit Lam Feng He. She was very resilient. Her condition was always good, she said. "You just want to see me regret it, don't you?" I'm telling you, I don't regret it. If I had the chance to do it again, I would still do the same. Are you scared now? The little boy who only knew how to cry and beg, who meekly obeyed me, thought he could escape my grasp when he grew up. Impossible. That obsession will follow you your entire life. Every time it's late at night and deserted, you will always see my appearance from that time in your mind, and then you will curl up in a dark corner and call for mommy. Over the years, I have always wondered why a beautiful woman in her early 20s could have such a wicked heart. Why could such a wicked woman cherish her own daughter like a treasure? Now, I seem to have found the answer. I told her, "Your work has been torn to shreds by me. You don't love your husband, nor do you love your daughter. What you enjoy is merely the pleasure of dominating others. That's why you became a kindergarten teacher. That's why you rack your brains to turn the children in your care into puppets, to mold them according to your will. My punishment for you has never been prison, but the choice between yourself and your daughter. I never believed you had maternal love. You were merely molding Dam Xiao Xiao into your ideal image. All your love for her is like the love for a perfect piece of porcelain, created by your own hands. You couldn't bear to see it destroyed, so you destroyed yourself. You thought that as long as your work still existed, you had not failed. I have learned now. Therefore, my ultimate revenge against you is to shatter your work." Seeing the subtle change in her expression, I pursed my lips. "Did you think I endured over 20 years just to seek justice? You're mistaken. I was merely contemplating why. Now, I have finally found the answer. It turns out that dominating a person, manipulating a person's life, feels so pleasurable. I am stronger than you. You could only dominate immature children, while I dominated a grown adult. This is enough to prove that your methods are useless, low class, and outdated. And you are a failure." She suddenly became extremely bewildered, like an overinflated balloon suddenly deflating. I asked her, "Do you know why my parents died?" She laughed again. "Don't tell me you're going to blame me for your parents' deaths. I do like to abuse and mistreat children, but I don't kill people. Of course, I knew she didn't kill anyone, so I wouldn't kill anyone either. I will never forget how my parents argued and then fought over whether to accept 1 million yuan. My father's temper grew increasingly volatile, my mother's curses. Sweetly, calling my mother a hypocrite. He said, "It was just eating something bad, you'd be fine. That's 1 million yuan enough to buy your life." My mother also screamed, "What else do you see besides money in your eyes? That's your son. I'm your own flesh and blood." My father grabbed my mother by the neck with one hand and shoved her hard against the wall. "Without money, how can I support you and your son? Food, clothing, everything you need, all requires money. So you traded your son for money, right? Are you that useless? 1 million yuan bought away your parental love." His temper grew increasingly volatile, arguing with and hitting your mother, shouting, "Shut up, shut up." I only remember a thud, and both your father and mother fell to the ground. But your mother quickly got up, grabbed a fruit knife from the coffee table, and repeatedly stabbed your father in the heart until blood splattered everywhere. Then, wiping her hands, she walked over and patted me, who was standing trembling to the side, saying, "Don't be afraid. Everything will be fine when you grow up." Then she gave me 10 yuan. I clearly felt that at that moment, I couldn't leave. I had a strong premonition that if I stepped out the door, something terrible would happen. But I still left because I had to be a good child. Unexpectedly, as soon as I went downstairs, I heard a deafening explosion. By the time I saw them again, they were no longer in one piece, so no one knew exactly what happened before the explosion. "Lam Feng," he asked in astonishment, "your mother killed your father and then used the explosion to destroy the evidence." She asked confusedly, "Then why didn't she kill me too? She clearly could have lived." "Could she?" I asked back. "My family was not poor, so why did the family suddenly face an economic crisis at that time? Your father loved your mother so much. Why did he suddenly beat her so brutally for 1,000,000 yuan? The only explanation was that something more terrifying than the destruction of a family and the separation of husband and wife had occurred. Therefore, my mother chose to end everything with their deaths just to protect me." That day, before I left home, my mother tightly held my hand, slipped a memory card into my palm, and said meaningfully, "The law cannot bring us justice, but humanity can." For so long, I didn't understand my mother's words, until now. I asked Lam Feng He again, "Do you know how your husband died?" "You think you're so powerful. Even though you are so wicked and despicable, he still loved you so much that he couldn't let go, indulged you, doted on you, and catered to your every whim. But have you ever looked back at yourself? In your marriage, what have you gained? All your family's assets have long been merged into the damn family. The jade carving you meticulously crafted is his daughter's, while you, after marriage, have been a full-time housewife for over 20 years. Do you know, in fact, between killing me and killing you, he chose to kill you. He felt you were a ticking time bomb, and sooner or later you would implicate him, so it was better to let you die sooner. Do you remember when he called your name before falling off the mountain that day?" I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "That rock had already been tampered with. As soon as someone stood on it, it would fall. He originally wanted you to stand there for a photo, but I tampered with it a little more, so when he was about to test the rock, it fell straight down." Lam Feng He's face turned extremely pale. "Impossible, no. Whether it's possible or not, you already have the answer in your heart," I said. "The revenge I want is not your freedom nor your life. I want you to taste all the humanity in this world. Coincidentally, all sorts of people are found in prison, and they will torment you until you are completely subdued. They will stop at nothing to destroy everything you have, turning you into a loyal, obedient dog. Even if you one day step out of this cage, you will never escape the trauma they inflict upon you." Finally, I saw panic and extreme fear on her face, despair and resistance like ashes, but I smiled at her and even affectionately called her mother. That's all. The story is over. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and a subscribe. Wishing everyone great success.